If you are the parent or the guardian of a child who is learning English as a foreign language, this video is for you. I want to give you some tips on how you can support your child learning English outside of their lessons. But first, I want to say how important lessons are. I am a teacher of English as a foreign language, and I love teaching younger kids. I find it really fun to watch them develop, and I love planning interesting activities to engage them in the language. If you have a student who needs lessons, I would love to meet them in a class soon. But, Mom and Dad, I'm sorry, but I don't want you to join them. Unfortunately, it is far too common for me to have a mom and a dad in the classroom with a student who is learning, and the mom and the dad being there just makes the student more stressed. The mom and the dad don't give the student the appropriate time to come up with answers and to make mistakes. That's what I'm there for. I'm a trained and seasoned teacher, and I'll help them. But what it would be really great if you could do is help them outside of their lessons. When you become a regular student with me, after each lesson, I give you class notes on what we did in that class and what I think you should focus on in the time before our next class. That might be a grammar point, a pronunciation point, or a vocabulary list. Also, for students who have time and are willing, I give homework. And I know that a lot of students have a lot of homework, but doing it really reinforces what we already learned in the class together. My next piece of advice is to make sure that you are reading with your student. That might mean reading to them if you are comfortable enough reading in English and they are a lower level, but it might also mean listening to them read to you. Two awesome books that I recommend reading to your young learner in English are Goodnight Moon and The Bear That Heard Crying. If you have a slightly older learner, like a preteen, and somebody who's at a slightly higher level, like pre-intermediate or intermediate, two books that I recommend for them are Charlotte's Web and How to Train Your Dragon. My next tip is to immerse your student in English. If you live in a country where English is not widely spoken, try to speak it at home so that your student hears it regularly outside of the classroom. Have them watch English movies, English TV shows, read to them in English. And if they use a phone or a tablet or a computer, switch the language of that device to English. And my final piece of advice is to encourage. I know that you encourage your child in everything they do, I'm sure. But sometimes, as I mentioned before, I see parents who are very quick to jump on language mistakes. This is not always helpful. Sometimes what you need to say to them is, that was great, really good work. Let's try that one more time, but say it more like this. What we don't want is a student who is so nervous about making a mistake that they won't speak anymore. And what makes me really sad when I have in classes sometimes students who are just scared to even say, I don't know, which is fine because they're learning. That's the whole point here. So encourage. And if you want help, book a lesson with me and I would love to meet your child soon.